We live. You see how that door just slammed when I said that? That's interesting. I want to welcome all my new viewers, supporters, those of you that share, those of you that PRAY for me, and a special shout out to everybody that's incognito because we really appreciate you. Now, I came on because I want to close some doors. You know, I want to see people's reaction. You know, public opinion matters. That's interesting because all of my life, I was told that it doesn't in certain places. You have to think about all the places that public opinion matters. Shut alive. I don't see any emojis. We want some reaction. Let everyone know you're alive. You know, some hearts in there, some laughter, some celebration. Let's have a kumbaya moment. Y'all know anything about that? That's interesting. You ever just be looking over your shoulder and saying, why am I doing this? That's interesting. Then you start to just contemplate on various things, people, places, incidents. You ever just be sitting in your ride and you think about a time when you almost got burnt? Like, that's interesting. You just be sitting there, with your eyes closed, dozing off, hoping you don't find yourself in a portal or something, you know. And you just think about that time. And you say, that was a close call right there. A few inches. If I was here, if I went over there, if he here. You know what? It's a beautiful day. You know, word around the YouTube streets is apparently there's a certain level of egotism people have when their bills is paid. Talk to me now. I'll talk back. That's what I heard. I know what I'm talking about. That's interesting. Does anyone have a certain level of arrogance because their bills is paid? I would think that that was a plus. You ever just be thankful that your bills are paid? Y'all know what I'm talking about? What's going on here? Oh, Sarah. How are you, darling? You ever just be eating some cherries and you think about that movie? And you just wonder, is that real? Does it look real? That's interesting. What y'all doing? Um, you ever just hear any good music and wonder if someone else hears it? I don't know. That's interesting. You just be sitting there thinking out loud and saying, I wonder if something or someone is listening to me in my mind. Then you start checking to see if your Bluetooth on. That's interesting. Let me clear my throat. That's interesting. You ever just wonder if how the ninjas in the car with you, like you think you feel it, but you're not sure? That's interesting. You ever just wonder what archangel I'm telling? For real though. That's interesting. Oh, let me see. I have to pay attention to the chatter. That's interesting. All right now. You know, Sarah, that's a popular name in the biblical Asakanos. You know what I'm talking about? That's interesting. People often wonder, what was Sarah's role in the Bible? Oops. Did you say? I mean, B-U-Y, B-U-L-L. Yep. That's interesting. So, it's only 4 of y'all in here. Y'all been hyping me up? I don't think y'all hyping me up because I ain't got no traffic. You ever just be sitting wondering why you don't got no traffic? Because I have. That's interesting. You ever just be grateful to be alive? You know what I'm talking about? That's interesting. Let's start. That's interesting. Challenge. Because word around the YouTube streets is challenges is also for go. Interesting. You ever just feel like someone is by your side, on your side? Right? Excuse me. Then you find out that they ain't ish. Oh my goodness. You know, they used to say, oh my goo goo goos. Oh my. That's interesting. You ever just wonder what planet you from? You can reach out to me at oracleoftheether@gmail.com and book with me today. For those that are interested in a viewer-donated pool, the CA is PEKA69. Once again, that's PEKA69. The 6 of the 999. You know anything about 699? That's interesting. 699. Some would say that that was biblical or Sakino. I don't know if you agree. Do you agree that 6999 is biblical? Because I think it is. You should go research it. Just because that one said 69999. And when he says 6.9999, then it is 6.999. You know what I'm saying? That's interesting. Have you ever seen $20.99? Like advertising on a billboard, perhaps? 20.99. That's 21. Y'all know anything about 21? Cause the word around them streets is you don't, bro. Gotta round it off a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? There's no one I'm channeling named Charlie. You wish. You ever just be sitting, listening to either and you have deja vu? Or everything feel like it's shaky? Everything. From morning to dusk to night. Everything just feel like it's shaking. You know what I'm talking about? We live. For live. You ever just be surfing the www? You see something interesting? I have. I definitely have. You would have a different perspective of life if you seen my search engine. You know what I'm talking about? Because word around them codes is you coding. You know what I'm talking about? That's interesting. It's a good day for a good day. You know what I'm talking about? Today was a good day. You ever heard that? Because I have. Have you ever just been driving in your car? I gotta say, today is a good day. And you're looking around like, yeah, righteous. That's interesting. Breathing is good. You know, I'm definitely in my car. See? Excuse me, that was a slippage. Y'all seen that absolution? Look, I'm gonna share with you a PV moment. When I was doing that, I did not realize that I was absoluting Ezekiel's. I had no idea. It's like brain fog or something. I don't know what? Interesting. Because somebody had deja vu and a slippage of the tongue, and it sounded like I did this to your daughter. Wow, that's interesting. You never know what you're gonna say. Like just now, because I started to say something totally different, and just whoop, happened just like that. And all of a sudden, snatch. That's interesting. Well, I am like no other. That's interesting. So, what planet is Ether really on? Because I mean, because I'm trying to pity it. They got locks and stuff. Yes, that's interesting. You ever heard somebody say something that was interesting? He snatched it, just took it. This is the perks of being an angel. He just snatches thoughts right at your mouth. That's interesting. The sun is beating on my brow. Oops, I said. Oh, that's interesting. Hey, man upstairs. Can you let this go to duration? Like their relationship? That's interesting. It would be nice. Yeah. Word around the YouTube streets. Is she doesn't channel Saint Michael for a reason. Interesting. Interesting. You know, Saint Michael is Archangel Michael. It's interesting. How many times have I said it? Over and over and over. And it's like there's a blockhead somewhere. It, it's interesting. It's what's in there? We don't know. Could be alloy, surgical steel. We don't know. That's interesting. You know, we don't know. It's popular around these streets. You should try it. That's interesting. Yeah, we don't know. So, who said something? Because that's interesting. I'd like to know. Which said, there go one of my members. How you doing? Is, you ever just been watching Rocky Balboa and say that's interesting? You ever just wonder if somebody can drive? That's interesting. You ever just be sitting in the passenger seat and everything about your energy signature is yelling, save me? Because that's interesting. You know? What's wrong with me? How you doing? All right. That's not gonna be saying You ever just order something to eat and you don't know who it is? That's interesting. That's that's something to think about right there. Because I do. I say, who are you who sent you? Because that's interesting. You ever just be so impotent? You ever just be so impotent that everyone that encounters you says you're interesting? You know what I'm talking about? You ever just be chillaxing and you think somebody's watching Netflix, but it's Roku? Yeah. That's interesting. Seems like Netflix is popular over there, because that's interesting. Seen any good Netflix movies? Because I ain't. I couldn't tell you what. I could not tell you what was on there. Seems like I've figured this out, me and my controlling ways. When I get introduced to something, it just disappears. Well, it just vanishes all of a sudden. You just be like, what's going on? It's because I haven't been there in a while. That's what it is. You would just say, that's interesting. You know, it's somebody that feels like just because an archangel tells them everything I'm saying when the man upstairs wants him to, because that's interesting. It's like he is yelling to someone else in his mind, of course, because he wouldn't dare out loud. That's interesting. He just sits there and wonders what's behind that TV. That's really interesting there. You know, you ever seen Asago? The little Asafi that comes through the screen? You ever seen that? Because that's interesting. Turns out that's real somewhere. He's sitting there saying she's talking about technology experience. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Because that's interesting. Got to love living. You know what I'm saying? You see how he just got in his car and minding his business? That's what you did. That's interesting. The word around them streets is you don't want no oak, moke, broke. Because apparently there's something wrong with sleeping in your car today. Because yesterday was fine. Nothing about. Just last week was all right. But, you know, today was a good day. You ever just hear a song and wonder who it is? Because you just, the thoughts got snatched out of your mind. You sitting there like, what is the name of this dude? And it's there, the image is there. You could picture yourself there because you was there. And you see things. You know what? That's interesting. Isa necesita o se que te necesiti a la safata nosi o the wasiti se que necesita isa inani safi. Interesting. Remember? Somebody said do it in different dialects because they know it's real, and I was like, that's interesting right there, because you know, occasionally the man upstairs allows good stuff to like seep in, just like a tear. You ever seen a tear in film? It's like scary. You ever seen that? Because I have. It's interesting. If you film it, of course up close, you will capture a masterpiece. That's interesting. If only I had the film. I mean, if I only had the film and the camera, I would be halfway there. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's interesting. You ever try to put film in a camera and realize it's backwards? Because word around them streets is, that's what you did. You know what I'm about? That's interesting. Imagine going through a whole course and completing it, and then realize that you actually have to use the equipment. Because that's interesting. You never think when you are shooting for the stars. That's interesting. That you would ever come across someone like Ethan Esty. Because when you're just walking down the street and you happen to see someone and you say Sophia So, and they say, oh, that's you. That's some interesting ish right there. Because I'm trying to tell you, you know what I'm talking about? You ever just wonder what ether is? They said it was a gray. That's pretty cool. I think that. I think that's pretty cool. I done been called a lot of things with a gray. That just tops the cake. That's interesting. I looked in the mirror and I said, no, I don't have those features. You ever just see something and just wonder where it came from? That's interesting. He said they done made Ether Bionic Woman. This was digital. You know that was somebody in the South. Because that's interesting. They put that in your mind because they don't like you. When they say, I don't like you, you acted as if he was talking to somebody, sound just like him, though. Sound just like him. That's interesting. How is she doing it? Talking and telling, you know what I'm saying? You ever just realize your whole life was a mistake? Like everything you did was a mistake. Not your being, of course, but you ever just sit back and think that I did this myself? Because it's easy to get into blaming others about your shortcomings, not mishaps, because we all have those. You know what I'm talking about? That's interesting. Because word around them streets is you told something. You know what I'm about? I'm just saying, I ain't the one to gossip. You know what I'm about? You ever just hear someone act as if they are not with none of that female shit? You know what I'm about? And then you find out their whole life, they was about that female shit. The entire life. It's like not even a fragment. 2 years, one. But supposedly, they from the hood, you know what I'm talking about? You ever just meet somebody that's a wigger? You know what I'm talking about? And you just be sitting there like, if they captured that look on film, they would say, that's where they got that from. That guy right there. Apparently. You know what I'm talking about? Out here we say putting a 2 on a 10, but you was like 1,000. So you could use, I'm putting the 2 on 1,000 because it sounds better than 95% of what you're writing right now, bars. Grr. You ever just heard somebody grr and it just sound like it's malnutrition? And you just be wondering if they eat pork. You know what I'm saying? The word around the YouTube streets is meat is a part of your ascension. Now, you know, there's different types of meat. We're not gonna go into details, fails, bars. That's interesting. We don't want too many details. It's like you was happy to do it. You ever just meet somebody that's detail oriented? You know, it was a certain area that somebody seen you in. But before I was so rudely interrupted, I was talking about the era that somebody reigned from. You know, reign, REIGN, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what that was talking about. He's saying G-O-D. Do something. Because I'm a hater. Barely. You're out of there. You ever just sit back and wonder what the man upstairs has in store for you? Because I have. For some reason, the things on my timeline don't matter right now. You don't know about? No. You know, it's if you all knew the interesting things that people ask for, you would say, my whole life, I've been sitting here. That's how this, you ever just have an epiphany that it ain't what you think? You know what I'm talking about? Like, and then you hear what people ask for. Hopefully he'll let this go, the duration. You know what I'm talking about? Because people are impotent. And you hear someone say, okay, today, all I want is for her to brush her teeth. Because it goes from, that was me pushing those two T cars together to get you into one of them dents. You know what I'm talking about? That's interesting. It went from 100 to 0 real quick. You know what I'm talking about? You ever just witness somebody go from 100 to 0 real quick? That's interesting. Today is a good day. You ever just be thankful? Because what I heard was gratitude matters from someone that lacks gratitudo. That's interesting. Because, you know, I be looking at stuff, and when I look at it, it look funny to me. You ever seen a funny looking female? I mean, you know, some may say that I'm funny looking in a cute kind of way. You know, they call my look exotic. I like that. That's interesting. But the word around that hood is you look like a pit bull. And that's interesting. I mean, I've seen some pretty cute pits. Bull. because I believe that is a Mo and a Shango. You know what I'm talking about? You know anything about Shango? Ooh, you calling the big boys today. Now, if I can recall, because I'm seeing the reading where I introduce you to the Osifisi Shango. We know you don't want to talk about Ogun Osifio. I know you want to talk about him. No, you don't want to talk about Ogun. Not today, you don't. 3 years ago, you did. You apparently. When I introduced the both of them to Ogun, they felt like 3 months later, wow, extremely over the limit, decided that they was going to use their energy and place it in a Kunasi car shell and then drop it in a sea, not a river, because word around there is all y'all have is creeks. You know what I'm talking about? You know how some be creaking? And you say, that's interesting. What is that? These are my confessions. I guess I gotta give part to my confessions. These are my oh, let me start, because you know they might, I don't mind sharing that one. Because word around them streets is you think he broke. You know what I'm talking about? You ever just see Usher when he was younger and say, he got longevity? That boy was in the scene before I was even thought about. Apparently, it's not only Miss New Udi, it's dude with the Udi. Because word around them streets is, boy, you like run back. That's interesting. Oh, I wouldn't be the first to announce this. Nope. Did y'all hear that? It sounded like something dropped on my device here. It's almost as if I was watching it. I looked and I heard something just, you know what I'm talking about? That's interesting. This one is interesting. Apparently, I'm going to be used and then dropped. That's interesting. If I were to tell you, that's already happened. You know? But apparently, when we fall down, we can get back up. You know what I'm about? That's interesting. Yeah. I am not 75% more interesting. I am 99.99 certain that I am, little mama. Because word around these YouTube streets is that's what you want to be called, little mama. You know what I'm talking about? That's interesting. So, we waking up paymasters again. That's what we're gonna wake up some real paymasters. That's what we're gonna do. Because apparently, when normal people do it, and you do it, it's different. You know what I'm talking about? That's interesting. You ever just decide that you've read enough of 2 pages out of someone else's doctrine, belief system, culture, and you decided you figured it out? You had an aha moment. That's interesting. not only did you have an aha moment, you realized that you weren't who you were saying you were for almost 20 years. Because that's interesting. Because apparently, no one knows where to get the right stuff from. That's interesting. But the man upstairs does. That is it.